Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek here with RCG Racing. So, we're going to be working on another myth or a legend or whatever you'd like to go and call it. Now, this motor still has the governor attached. There are tons of myths and legends that are based on putting straight pipe exhausts on. It ends up upping the RPM, and running an open intake will up your RPM, and also whether running a cold air intake will up your RPM. Now, we're going to test all of those with the governor installed. What we're going to do next, in another video, we're going to remove that governor and we're going to redo all of that testing to see what kind of change it actually makes. So now, we're going to start this up. We're going to confirm our baseline of 3800, and then we're going to start playing with modifying it a little bit. I did also want to show you what this will go to if you just pull the governor straight outright. So as you saw, the baseline on is around 3750 to 3800. And if we pull on the governor, which is this bar right here is your governor arm, and it goes that way to rev it up, we can hit about 5 grand or so. But the governor gear is in this, and so it's really not a good idea to run it that way long term. But for the sake of drag racing like we're planning on doing, maybe that's an option. Now, this has wing nuts on both of these. And one of the things that is noted on several groups is that these come with very thick walled filters. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this top plate off so it doesn't go bouncing all over everywhere. And we'll stick that over here for now. So we're going to fire it up as it is now. If you are looking to go and set this up in order to go and have a throttle, this would be full throttle. This would be rabbit. This would be full throttle. This would be turtle. This would be rabbit. So what you do is you loosen that up, and then you can put a linkage onto this section. You can put a linkage onto this section, or you can put a linkage onto this section going this direction for throttle. But that is in the case of leaving the governor in the equation. So now we're going to stick you guys back in the tripod, start it up, and see what it decides to baseline at. We're going to be testing two things on this run. We're going to test it with this totally wide open. Now the airflow on this is atrocious. It is giant up here, goes that way, turns at a 90-degree angle, and then goes into the carb. We're also going to test on the idea of a cold air intake. This is a Kawasaki universal filter, and they don't come with this hole. I drilled this hole in here, and I have the wing nut that it came with, and I have a washer that goes on top. And all I'm going to do is just stick that right down through, put a washer and a wing nut on, and we're going to redo the rev test. So what we're going to do is we're going to run it, we're going to find a baseline, we're going to do a couple of governor revs to see how easily it goes to 5 grand. And then we're going to put this on. We're going to do a couple of governor revs to see how easy it goes to 5 grand. Before we talk about the exhaust, I wanted to point out that if I was going to run this continuously, I would just simply put a self-tapping screw right there in order to lock that in place. This is very similar to something that we ran on the original gas-powered Power Wheel build that we built, and that's the reason why I wanted to show this setup. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab this. It's an exhaust piece that is cut off from a Briggs & Stratton single cylinder. And what I had to do was I had to wallow out the ends of this in order to make where the bolt goes through just a little bit wider. This is a 1-inch piece of pipe. The piece that actually comes out is a little bit bigger than 1 inch. So this isn't a perfect swap, but it should do what we need. And these are 13 millimeter, and the exhaust gasket should come right out with it. There we go. So this exhaust is removed. We've got our pipe on there. I didn't show taking it off because if you can't figure out how to get your two nuts off, that's not my problem. Now, one thing I wanted to point out about this thing is massive. I just threw it on a scale and it's literally 5 pounds. So I'm really glad to get this off of here. I also noticed this is rusting. It's like some sort of cast iron. This motor has literally only had about 45 minutes worth of runtime on it, and it's already rusting all over that. So we're going to set this aside because we're going to reuse it during our governor delete test. So now what we have is we have the cold air intake. We've got a straight pipe exhaust, or almost straight pipe. Plus this is a nice progressive curve, unlike this horrifying 90-degree, and then it even does another whoop-de-doo. Like, that's not cool whatsoever. So what we're going to do is we're going to start it up. We're going to see what it does with this. We're going to rev it a couple of times on the governor just to see how fast it'll come up to $5,000 or whether it goes a little bit past. And then we're going to pull this off and we're going to rev the governor once or twice more just for the giggles of it. And go from there. What do you guys think? Do you think this is going to push past the $5,000? Do you think it's going to do like 5,400 RPM when I hit the governor in order to override it for that second? What do you guys think? Post in the comments below. Keep in mind, we started at 3,800 factory stuff. We only could get it to about $5,000. What do you think it's going to do with this? What's up with that? Let's give it some choke. As always, links for things used in videos are in the description, but I would say that's pretty good for $10 worth of filters and a free exhaust pipe.